Yeah, so students, now this particular assignment is for socket thread assignment. Okay, so here now why this assignment I have taken at second level, because RMI already we have studied, and based on that RMI many functions and many methods will be known to you, familiar to you. That's why initially, as I've told you, at the time of RMI that is covered first, and now this particular assignment of thread programming, you can say, or client server architecture, client server domain, again using the middleware, that is the socket middleware technology, and it is going to use the concept of thread programming. Okay, now through these both the codes, you can say client code or server code, when you're working with socket middleware technologies and threads, we are going to study the complete life cycle of thread. So the lab manual which I have sent you, there you have to go through the socket lab manual, where you have to start with the complete first step or stage of the thread life cycle till you reaches to the socket uh, end, or you can say the close or exit or quit kind of the stages. So starting from the start, that is the initial level or initialize, till the closing or ending. So all these stages and phases of a complete thread lifecycle must be known to you. Now, starting with the packages at client side, it is import.java.io, java.network, and public class client. So class name is client, public static void main, string argument. So many things I'm going to take it faster, because many lines are repetitive here with when we are comparing it with RMI. Then in try catch block try, I'm going to do the computation part, that is socket sock equal to new socket. So now it is an object created for class socket. And parameters which are sent are local host and 444. Now 444 is an agreed port of the server side. If you remember the diagram which we have seen for the socket connection between client process and server process, that client can send the request to n number of ports, but server side it is going to work with an only agreed port. So only one port will be there on the server side, which will be agreed or valid or authorized port, through which server is going to accept the client request. Okay, so let's say that 444 is that particular agreed port. So obviously socket is going to establish the connection using this object sock. So everywhere you will see in this code sock dot multiple methods are used. So this is the INET address and port number of the server to which this client is going to be establishing the connection through the socket technology. Now send thread. Now obviously this send thread with small s is an object created of this class send thread, where it is capital S, and then new send thread, again the parameter is sock new thread equal to new thread. Now again this thread with small t is a object created of this class thread, that is capital T. So what is the parameter passed here in round bracket? Send thread. So thread dot start. Now why this thread dot start and why this thread 2 dot start here is coming? So don't get confused, because we are going to work with two important methods here. First is receive thread and second is the sending thread. So receiving thread, that means receiving some kind of the response coming from the server at client side. Okay, and then sending, that means client is going to send something back to the server. So these two are very important methods here, receive and send. So for both this receive and send, obviously two threads will be utilized here. So whatever you are seeing here, you can see here thread dot start. This thread dot start comes with receive thread. You can see here receive thread equal to new receive thread sock. So receive thread with small r is an object created for this class receive thread with capital R. Okay, whereas this thread 2 equal to new thread. So you can see now this particular thread 2 is for sending. So thread 2 is for sending, thread is for receiving. So you are going to start this, that is thread 2 dot start. Then system.out.println, that is for displaying or printing, that is e.getMessage. Then class receive thread implements runnable. Now, if you remember in RMI, we have seen DB interface, that is database interface. This interface is going to facilitate the connection or establishing the bridge or communication between client process and server process. Even though RMI registry is going to be established, but who is going to facilitate this? The interface between these two processes, that is DB interface in case of RMI. But here, in case of socket programming using thread concept, it is runnable interface. Now, why runnable? Because something in continuation. So when we are talking about thread, how long this thread is going to be exist? Okay, in the environment or scenario, what is the scope or extent or life of this thread? Till that particular transaction or execution ends, this thread is going to be continued. So the interface name is runnable interface. So class receive thread implements runnable. Interface word is not written here. It is assume runnable. Socket sock equal to null. Buffer reader is initially null. So when we are going to allocate this current sock, that is this dot sock equal to sock, then only your socket, sock, buffer reader, receive are going to work, or they are going to have or maintain or contain some value. Public receive thread socket sock, this dot sock, that is the current socket, which is going to do the job. What job? Public void run. In try block, I'm writing receive equal to new buffer reader, new input stream reader, this dot sock dot get input stream. This entire statement I'm going to relate with system dot in, which we have written in the RMI application. That is some kind of taking input stream. Okay, so this input stream here in this socket programming is a simple message. Okay, there in RMI application there were the two strings, name one, name two, string one, string two, right? For concatenation. Now here I am simply taking a message. So get input stream में current sock will help you to take that input. So string message received equal to null, while message received equal to receive dot read line not equal to null. So obviously till what extent or end I am going to read that message till I am reaching to the that is the null or last end of the string is reached. Okay, so that is I am going to check till that time I am going to run that particular thread so that the entire message is read properly. So you can see receive dot read line, which is not equal to null. So it should not be equal to null. That means you have reached towards the end. So till the last, you can say character or bit of that particular string, you have to reach. So receiving that thread. It is the complete thing. Now system.out.println from server, that is message received, whatever message you have received. Now next, what you are going to print, please enter something to send to server. So catch exception, that is e.get message. Run is ended here. So that means you have received and run, both are done. After that, class send thread implements runnable. Okay, now it is sending thread. Now this send thread, what it is going to do, whatever message you have received from the input, like get input stream, right? From there, whatever you have received as a message, that will be sent to the server. From server, again, some reply will be taken. This give and take using this interface. Okay. So now class send thread implements runnable socket sock equal to null, print writer print is null, buffer reader PR input is null. Now send thread socket sock this dot sock public void run may if sock dot is connected. That means that IP address, INET address, and port number are identified, valid, authorized, everything is done. Now the establishment of connection or bridge is there in between two processes. Then I can say I am going to ask whether it is connected or not. Okay, so you are going to print client connected to what plus sock.get address and sock.get port. That means IP address and port number of that particular server to which this client is going to be connected. Fine. Now print writer sock.get output stream. ये get output stream क्या आएगा print writer में जो हमको server is going to send as a response that will be received here in get output stream. Okay, and whatever we are going to send from client, obviously it is going through get output stream, that is output message buffer or outgoing message buffer. If you remember, that was a buffer at the client side through which client request will be sent, and whatever is coming from the server, it will be received in that buffer itself. But who is going to receive these client messages at server side? That is the input or incoming message buffer, right? So that incoming message buffer at client side becomes the output message buffer for server, right? So please don't get confused कि यहाँ पे भी output है, वहाँ पे भी output है. You have to understand the meaning. The client output stream or buffer is going to work with sending client messages to server and receiving server responses to client, right? To send it to client. Same way, the output stream which is present at the server, it is going to take the replies from server and going to give it to client. Similarly, client request it is going to send back to the server, right? So now, while true, what we are going to do is system.out.println, type your message to send to server, type exit to exit. BR input is new buffer reader now, input stream system.in. So whatever you have read there in receive thread, that you have to take here and now you have to send it here. So message to server string, BR input dot read line, this dot print ln, message to server string. Okay. If message to server string equals exit, that means end, string is finished now. Now you can end the while loop, you can close the socket. So we have seen how it has started the life cycle from start to end, that is a close. So in between run, receive, thread, everything has worked. So that is socket and thread all together in the life cycle. Now how this server is going to reciprocate to this socket, you can say client process. Again, you can see these three packages. Now, what all things you are going to find it similar here. Public static void main throws IO exception. Final import. Final white I am writing here because it is an agreed port 444 from the server side. SOPNN server waiting for connection on the port. What is the port number plus port that you have to write down? That is the port number through which it is going to establish the connection. Server socket equal to ss equal to new server socket port number socket client socket ss dot accept SOPLN, that means whatever socket connection is established and port number is agreed on the server side through which client request is going to be accepted now. Now what I'm going to display here, SOPLN, received connection from client socket, get the IP address and get the port of that particular client which wants to establish the connection with the server. Now again create two threads to send and receive from client. Receive from client thread, receive equal to new receive from client thread, client socket. So again here I'm going to your thread dot start, and for send to client thread, whatever I'm going to send to client through this thread, send equal to new send to client thread client socket. For there I'm going to use thread 2 dot start. Okay. So two threads for receiving and sending. Now class receive from client thread implements runnable. Initially both the client socket and buffer reader are null. After that you are going to locate this as current socket. This dot client socket is a current socket. Then in try block you are going to write br buffer reader equal to new buffer reader, but there you are going to take the input which is coming from this dot client socket get input stream. Whatever message client is sending will be received here, right? After that, you can see here while message string equal to br buffer reader dot read line not equal to null. Obviously, कहाँ तक read होगा जब तक it is not coming reaching to the null point in that string. Same way, the way it is sent, the same way it will be received at server side. Each and every bit and entire line will be read. That is parsing. जो parse int हमने use किया था at the time of RMI, same thing is used here like buffer reader. Then break, okay, obviously when we have to close the socket if it is exit. So SOPLN from client plus message string. This is a message coming from client. So now SOPLN, please enter something to send back to client. So here something will be sent. This dot client socket close, system exit. Now this is the complete your exception thing. Now your receive from client thread is ended here. Now send to client thread. Obviously once you are receiving the message from client, something server is going to send back to the client. So what the server is going to send, print writer initially null, socket client sock is null. Now this dot client sock again आपको current socket यहाँ दिखाना है for sending. Now PW printer writer equal to new printer writer, new output stream reader. This is very important. Now I hope you understand why here get output stream is there here and why here output stream is there. So don't get confused. Meaning is different because they are located at different processes, client and server. So this output stream writer is going to give some message. This dot client sock dot get output stream. Okay. String message to client string buffer reader new stream reader system dot in, that is get user input, then message to client string. After that you are going to send this message to client with printer writer, then it will be flush. Now here also this dot print flush was the message is sent from client to server, and here also when server is going to send some reply to client, print printer writer dot flush, that means flush it, entire thing is sent to the other party. Then please enter something to send back to the client. End the while loop. Then you write the exception message ex dot get message. Why it is ex dot? Because मैंने exception ex लिखा है. बाकी programs में exception e था. So now then in that time you can write e dot get message. So here also your send to client thread ended. So again these two are the sample programs again for client program and you can say client process and server process using socket middleware technology, that is using the thread lifecycle. So again this was just passing the string messages. Again the suggestion will be that you have to come up with mathematical computations the way you have done in seen in RMI. Same way you have to change this code little bit. This is just a sample code given for you to practice, but you have to change the application here. Come with mathematical implementations. Okay, again the menu driven program, but only the technology is changing, middleware is changing, that is socket programming using the thread concept. Okay, so that's all. Now RPC is left and one more assignment is left. Both will be sent through video. Earlier to this, the token ring algorithm and Boole algorithm. So these election algorithms implementation is expected. Now lab manual point of view, all other lab manuals you have except this ring Boole, Lamports and NTP. So these four lab manuals with FAQs which are expected from you people will be sent to you on mail, and these assignments whose lab manuals are already available with you, those FAQs questions only I will send, which you have to type it and submit it to me. Okay. So respective folders I'll be making, there you have to submit the assignment wise code, output and FAQs. Fine. Thank you.